to Supercharged by AI, a podcast by AI Portland. I am Megan Notarte, partner at Cloud4, co-founder of AI Portland.
I am Nicole Moores, product design leader at Lithium Motors and also a co-founder of AI Portland.
That is right. It's almost our 2-year anniversary.
I was thinking about that.
I know. We need
last
some baby
night
carrots and some wine. I think actually it was in November when it happened. No, we had a Christmas tree up, so it had to have been after Thanksgiving.
I don't think so. I think you were just on it that year.
What do you? Oh, you think?
No,
you think
actually,
I remember before Thanksgiving.
I remember the date. It was November 30th, so it was after Thanksgiving.
Okay. Yeah. It's coming up. I will. You will not be around on that day. You are traveling, but I will raise a baby carrot to you on that day.
Okay.
We'll take a selfie.
Baby carrots. I love carrots. They're good. They're good.
Carrots are good. Well, we have something a little different than our usual recap episodes for y'all today. We grabbed our good friend Nicolle Merrill and asked her some questions about how she's seeing this moment in AI. Nicole, who is Nicolle Merrill?
Nicolle Merrill is super smart lady, number one. She's an AI strategist, a designer, and just overall rad person. She has a consultancy called Boring AI, which is funny. She does all sorts of trainings on AI literacy, and has been working in AI, like conversational design, for a really long time. Like, I would argue longer than most people who say they have worked in AI.
Yeah, she was working with chatbot design before generative AI was like a thing.
Yeah, totally. So she just has a really interesting perspective about this moment in time. We had her, she did a workshop for us. What was that, 2024?
Last year. Was it early last year? I feel like it was March of 2024
It is,
or something like that.
2025 is last year because basically the year's over. So 2025 is last year. So it would be, anyway. She did this workshop. It was amazing. We met her, and we're just like, I can't believe this, super smart AI person is here in Portland. Will you do this workshop for our community? She did. It was awesome. And so we took the opportunity to check back in with her because that was quite a bit of a ways away, and have a conversation about where she's at now and how she's thinking about things.
Yeah, I think you and I both super value her perspective, and her literacy training was like really foundational for the way that we view AI and AI within organizations and AI in teams. Mm-hmm. And because she's helping and talking to so many different teams, she has this perspective that is very grounded in what is like actually happening in the world, not the hand wavy stuff. So we get into it. We talk about how she's seeing things, how she's seeing this messy moment. And we're just gonna have to check in with her periodically because it's just so valuable. So enjoy Nicolle Merrill with AI Portland.
It's wearing off on Megan, apparently.
Yeah. Look at me. I'm dancing. Nicolle Merrill. We've got two Nicoles, so most of the time I assume our listeners will be able to figure out who I'm talking about. But right now, I'm talking about Nicolle Merrill. Nicole, thank you so much. I'm so excited I'm just so excited to be with you again. For folks who've been around AI Portland for a long time, Nicolle Merrill was like instrumental in our early ideas of AI literacy. She did a workshop for AI Portland like in 2024, which in AI world is like lifetimes ago.
Yeah.
Does it feel like lifetimes?
Yes, it does.
Nicole?
It really does.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm so stoked to have you with us today. And I've been thinking, Nicole and I have been talking a lot about how things have evolved since you did your AI literacy workshop with our group. we've evolved quite a bit. And so it's been on our mind for a long time to be like, oh, let's get her back here and like tell us how things have changed. You are now on your own. You're doing your own sort of is it literacy and consulting? Maybe you can talk about
Yeah.
that a little bit, catch us up on what you've got going on.
Sure. Yeah. Also, I'm really thrilled to come back because I remember the way we met was you guys just being like, "Hey, you do AI. We're talking to everyone who does AI in Portland." And I was like,
It's
"Yes,
literally
let's talk." And
Yeah,
so
one
we
of
we
the
met up.
200, yeah, one of the 200 conversations we had in
Mhm.
2024.
Yeah, but we left that conversation and we were like, there are cool people here that are doing awesome work. And we were so
Yeah.
energized after we met you.
Yeah, well, the feeling was like, well, was also the same because, the AI space can be so filled with so much hype and you start to hear the same things all the time. So it's really refreshing when the conversation goes beyond hype and we can talk a lot of different aspects because AI just touches on so many different pieces. Even if we scope it to like AI in the workplace, which is my focus, just such a big topic. Now here we are trying to keep up with it. So yeah, gosh, that was a lifetime ago. And yes, I have changed. I was doing my job full time where I was building AI products. I'd been doing that about 7 years. So, not an engineer, but at the intersection of AI and UX, really, how do people use AI products? How do we build products that people actually want to use? Key thing, want to use. And was doing that. And then had the opportunity to finally go out on my own. I'd been working freelance for a while to do AI literacy training. So, in the beginning, it was a lot of, how are we using ChatGPT? How are we thinking about AI in our work? And that was early 2023. And then that really has evolved much more into both the AI literacy training, but also the consulting piece from an organizational level. What does it look like to scale up an entire organization and make them, your non technical teams, ready for AI? And then what does it look like to shift our processes to actually integrate AI into our work so we actually see those results? So it's been a journey on my end, and it's
It
been really cool.
has. It has been a
Yeah.
journey. This moment in like where we are collectively with AI feels particularly hard and messy, right? Like early on, there was a lot of, like you said, like a lot of hype and excitement and like, oh my God, it can do everything. I think companies are now like, okay, this is here. I'm grappling with how do I actually use it?
Right.
And that is a very frustrating place, I think. Like, what do you think about like existing processes and how they map to bringing AI into your organization?
Yeah,
Like,
I
do they
think I
work?
mean, it depends. Like, I feel like I answer "it depends" every single day in meetings. It's like, well, that depends because
Yeah.
organizations are messy, right? We talk about AI if it's this like plug and play tool, right? But to your point, organizations are messy. Like I came from
Oh,
multiple organizations where you had unclear processes, nothing's written down. You just kind of do it, right?
Yeah.
People don't really think about their job as I do this task and I do this task, and therefore I can use AI for this task, right? It's so much more blurred, and so that messiness combined with you have a lot of people in management in teams like L&D who are tasked with implementing these AI trainings who are still trying to figure out how to use AI at an individual level. So
yeah.
like
Totally.
trying to do it at an organizational level, that's where this messiness really starts to come from, right? There was this amazing stat I found. It was from, I think it was a report from Pluralsight that said 91% of executives have exaggerated their knowledge about AI. And I was all, well, all right, I know that. I've seen it. But also,
Yeah.
not to shame them because they also found like 70% of employees do this too. But I think it
Yeah.
speaks to like the pressure to really have this figured out by now. But the reality is, it's to your point, it's messy.
That makes a lot of sense. Megan and I have had quite a few events over the last year, and, we'll have a literacy event, and we're having all these people sign up and they're saying, "Oh, I'm an expert." You know what I mean? And then I'm like, "But why are you coming to the
Yeah.
literacy event then?"
Yeah.
I think something's a little off either in your understanding of your own abilities and knowledge, or maybe you're just saying that you know a lot more than you actually do.
Yeah.
Executives, though, what Megan and I are hearing is they're saying, hey, we're all in. They're saying it to everyone, including their people, but then
Yeah.
giving very little substance into what that actually means. Are you seeing that?
All the time. Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I mean, that's the theme of 2025 is the AI mandate, right? We've seen the publicly declared, we're going to be AI first, but no one really knows what that means, right? There are a lot of companies that I talk to who are not public about it, who are like, yep, we're going to have AI mandates. AI mandates look like everyone's going to use AI. We're going to make sure that everyone we hire has AI skills. And there's still for the individual and organization, right? I always talk of both of these groups because they're different, but there's still not a lot of clarity on, well, what does it mean? First off, what are the AI skills,
What
right?
does that
And then
mean?
what does
Yeah.
that mean?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
two, what does it mean to use AI, right? I know that a lot of folks struggle with measuring AI use, and they're like, well, we're going to measure how many people are using the tool. Well, okay, but that does how are they using the tool? Are they using it daily?
Yeah.
Right.
How are they using it? Is it helping? So I think
Right.
I think it's very popular to say that. I think for if you're a publicly traded company, you have a lot of external pressures to make sure you're an AI company, right? We've seen it. So I understand where it's coming from, but it just leaves everybody else scrambling to figure out, okay, what does that mean? And what kind of processes do we need in place to ensure that we can become that, right? How do you meet this
Yeah.
target if you don't know what it is?
Yeah. The middle managers and the individual person doesn't know what that means, but
Right,
also feels all the pressure. Like,
right,
oh,
exactly.
we're all like, what,
What do we
and
do?
yeah,
And I gave a keynote real recently on this, on how leadership supports middle management because of the fact that they make these kind of announcements, and your management, middle management, are going to be dealing with the questions. They are the ones that are sitting at the intersection, of your mandate and the execution of it, right? So they're going to
Yeah.
get the questions on what tools can we use? Why can't we use these tools? What data is appropriate if they're getting data questions? That's an open question, and so they're the one fielding all that on top of doing their existing jobs. And oftentimes without support, right? Without the training, without, guidelines put in place like a responsible AI use policy, a data use policy, and so on. So there are these pieces that should go along with, an announcement about being AI first or having an AI mandate. But that's an ideal version. And I think if we go back to that theme of the messiness, the reality
Yeah.
is much more on the messy side.
I wonder if these sort of mandates and lack of structure and lack of like the corresponding things that go along with helping that be successful is one of the reasons that we're like in what I think is a period of disillusionment.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
those mandates are coming from a place of, like you said, external pressure, investor pressure, but also like hype promise. Like
Hype.
I've heard
Yeah.
that it can do all this stuff. So,
Right.
our investors want to see us be on the cutting edge. And so we're going to like all in on AI. And then, you know, because I think a lot of the tools are just not quite there yet in terms of being able to just deploy them. Like it's still
Right.
really hard to do this stuff. Then everyone's like disillusioned because most people are in the middle and are either middle management or individual contributors who are sitting with this going like, but I can't actually make it help me.
Right. No, I think that's exactly it. Like the first year I've been there, right? There are times I tell people, I was like, some days like AI, like when I'm using it, I'm like, wow, this is so good. I don't want to use the term magical. It's not. But like in the sense of like I'm awed, this is cool. And there are times I just want to throw my laptop out the window. Right.
yeah,
Because it's
Yeah.
like it's really a slot machine at this
yeah,
point. On
It
what we
is.
get. And I'm an expert power user, right? And I think that kind of technology, we're just not used to a piece of software. Because in the end, this is technology in software, right? Where we're working with it, that is so unpredictable, right? And so that disillusionment when you've been told repeatedly for years it's going to do so many things, management's been told, oh, it's going to save all the time, right? And it's going
well,
to free
yeah.
us up to work on what really matters. I don't know what that is, but it's going to free
Oh,
us up,
that
right?
story. Like I
It's
want
the
to believe that
worst.
story. We say that story too, right? Like it'll don't worry. It's not going to probably take your job because your job is
Mm,
a series of tasks and it might do some of your tasks. And wouldn't it be nice to be able to have it do the ones that you don't want to do? And
mhm.
then you can focus on the things that matter. But like I would even say that in a lot of cases, like it's not quite there yet.
No.
You can see the promise. You're like, oh, this
Yeah.
might be able to manage my calendar someday. But like then you try to have it manage your calendar, but not
This
quite
is
there.
all I want at this point,
Oh,
right? Like,
same.
why
Yes.
am I bothering with all these other use cases? Someone asked this the other day. I was like, they're like, if you could have it do anything, what would it be? I'm like, manage my schedule. That's all I care about. Like,
Yes.
literally. And I
Right.
can't get a tool to do it yet. So, like, what are we doing? I am
Yes.
disillusioned.
Yes.
When it manages the calendar or even email, that's another big pain
Mhm.
point for Megan and I is email. Like when it does either of those things, like I'll be like, okay, it might be coming for my job. You know what I mean?
Does it well,
Maybe.
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Does it well.
This has been my AGI line, right? Like people like, when will you believe it's AGI, right? And I'm like,
No.
listen, when it can manage my 17 calendars and like 6 active Gmail accounts that like I have to check all the time,
Yeah,
then I will start
exactly.
to have a conversation about this being AGI. But when I talk to like people who are a little more on the sort of techno optimist side
Mhm.
of things, when I say that, they're like, oh, I mean, it can do that. Like, have you not used this one
Uh,
tool that does this one
Yes.
thing? And I'm just
it,
like,
but like realistically, no, it can't, because if it could, Microsoft would have already embedded that as the
why is it not in
primary
Gmail?
tool,
Why is
right?
it not in
Yeah,
Gmail?
no, it
Gmail
would have been
has right
built
email
out
on my
into a
calendar.
feature already. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would have been like splashed all over the pages at this point. I remember there was a bot back in the day, I think, what was it called? Amy or something like that, that could go back and forth and schedule. And I never know what happened to that one. And it was okay. But again, to your point, we have this kind of challenge around, you know, we have AI, we have automation, being able to connect the pieces together. And then we also have data. And data is like becoming really the bigger story in all of AI in the workplace, because the bigger these tools get, the more tools we have, the more they want our data, personally and our organizational data, right? And that also adds to complexity, huge
Yeah.
amounts of complexity, because not all that data is available. It's not, the people building it don't know what it is, right? So when you think of things like scheduling, there's a lot of external data that goes into scheduling and
Yeah. 3
emailing.
calendars,
Right,
emails,
right.
context
Why
about
do
your
you have
life.
6 calendars and which one's the priority one, right? So it gets
Mhm.
complex very fast. So we go back to that question of disillusionment. Well, some of these problems are actually quite more complicated under the hood than what the kind of the promise has been sold, right? That Gen
Yeah.
AI can just do it. Just do it. But it's harder than that. So I think that's also where the disillusionment is coming from.
To me, I like this is so helpful because Nicole, if you are like saying, it's okay, it's not quite there yet, we're just being
Mhm.
sold all that hype and you start to
Mhm.
believe the problem is you,
Right.
that you
Right.
don't get something or you can't make it or why is it hard for you? But no, it's just hard. They're just not there yet.
Well,
Right.
and I think that I do believe that there are ways to address some of these basic problems, but it requires a lot of engineering thinking and design. Like I was
Mhm.
using Zapier to like make a more smart autoresponder. It's a great example. It's very simple, but
Yeah.
actually when we deployed it, we were like, "Oh, I don't want it to reply in this way to like every message." And like then we start being like, "What's the ROI here in terms of like how much time I'm going
Yeah.
to spend
Yeah.
versus me sending this clip to like the half the emails that we get, and I can just manually
Yeah.
send that. It takes me 3 seconds. So like, or I can spend another 12 days trying to tune this like smart autoresponder. And again, that sounds so boring when I
Yes.
when I talk to people about this problem. They're just like, that's like not even cool. I'm like, but this is a real
This is
Real problem.
like, look how many boring tasks we have in our day.
Yeah,
If it's
yeah.
supposed to automate the boring stuff, this is a boring problem, right? There's thousands of boring problems in my small business. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh God, it's
in my
mostly boring
job.
problems.
And
Yeah.
I like Nicole's part about also that, like, we blame ourselves. I know that I do so many workshops and I hear people, we open up the floor for questions. It's my favorite part is answering the questions. And we get, people saying like, oh, I did this one thing, but it didn't work. And I'm just frustrated. Like, what can I do? And, we talk about it and come to find out, sounds like that's a task AI just shouldn't be doing. Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes we also have well, I got it to do this, but it took forever. And it's like, sounds like that's a great case for, not using AI for that. Because in the end,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we forget here that we do have our own skills, right? And that can be, so for example, I'm a writer. I can write all the time. Do I use ChatGPT to write my stuff? Absolutely. Right? Not all stuff, but some of it. And then sometimes I just write it myself because it's quicker than prompting it, right?
Yeah.
So we are still very much valuable. Like, you know what I mean? Like our skill sets. And I know that also has been a narrative that like, that the machines can do things so great. And you're like, but actually that's not always the case. And these
Yeah.
these tools can do so many things. So we can't just go out with the assumption that AI is going to do everything better than us. Quite the opposite. The goal is to figure out, can it do it better than me?
Mm-hmm.
And if so, is it worth my time?
Yeah.
And that takes
100%.
experimentation.
Yeah. Because even
Yeah.
sometimes they can do it, but it's not worth my time because it's a task I do once a year and it's not worth my
Right.
time to try to sort it out. Like, yeah, definitely seeing that. I want to talk, since we're talking about disillusionment, we're also talking about how to make AI do things. Like some people have said that 2025 is the year of the agent, right? That at the beginning of last year, people were making predictions, right? And like
time.
everyone was like, 2025 is the year of the agent. And like we went in some publication and I was like, everybody's saying it's the year of the agent. I don't think it is. I think it's the
Yeah.
year of trying to be productive with AI, right? And
Yeah.
I will sit here today in October and I think that like the predictions that Nicole and I made, I think are mostly true. Where are we with agents though? Like, it does feel like cuspy, like we're on the cusp of something cool. Yeah, but not
We have a
quite
lot of
there.
AI agent products.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything's an agent. And then
Yep.
sometimes I'm like, what is
That's
an
not an
agent?
agent. No, so
Exactly.
start there.
Yeah,
Right,
can we start there? Let us set the
Are
record
we
straight
designers or
because
what?
I'm not, but I am with you.
I know, but like starting with what is an agent is a very classic design move because it's like let's take all of our assumptions and like get rid of some assumptions and get on the same page because that is actually the
Yes.
reality. And my background is in building chatbots, like pre-GPT, ChatGPT. Like we built the chatbots using older models, and did they suck? Absolutely, but they did the job. And I worked for a company where it saved millions of dollars, right? So these were tools that were intentionally used in certain business processes, and now we have the same type of tool, just using a different model, using an LLM instead, and they're calling them agents. And it's like, yeah, but is that an agent? So I've heard agents defined as something that, is essentially a template that someone fills in. Agents defined as something that calls a tool. Okay, but what kind of tool? If it's a tool that just writes code, is that an agent? Something that combines multiple workflows? Okay, I could see that. I think
Yeah.
it's hard. And what we're seeing is there, kind of this idea of AI doing tasks for you. So that seems to be
Yeah.
the divide. It's, am I going to do it myself and prompt it, or am I going to tell the piece of
And have
software,
it
the
go do
tool,
it.
do this thing, and then come back to it and I get the final output?
Like,
Yeah.
I
Right.
feel like it has to have a measure of autonomousness
Agreed.
Yeah,
to it in order for it to. I
definitely.
think what has happened is that people have been finding that agents can't do the thing they want to do yet. And so they've expanded the definition of agent so that
Mhm.
they can, again, in the same way we're talking about investors and like PR and whatever, like they can say, we're building an agent.
Yeah.
And like, I
Yeah.
think that's the reason that the definition has
Absolutely.
expanded. But from where
Absolutely.
I sit, I'm like, it has to have some agency in order
It has
to
to
be
do
an
something.
agent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Make
always go back to
something.
analog, like like a human agent, like
Mhm.
old school travel agent. I go to the travel agent, I tell them what I'm interested in, and then that agent goes off and finds a great travel experience for me. I did not do that myself. The agent did. And so that's how I always that's
Yeah.
my measure of what an
Yeah.
agent, it's an autonomous thing that does something on my behalf.
Yeah. And we see examples of that in the market now. We see everyone has agents. So Manus AI is a great example. OpenAI obviously has theirs, and they're cool. I use them for research. There's a smaller organization that I actually use regularly now. It's called Gobi AI, and it's really cool because it lives where you live in email. So you set it up on their platform. So I'm not really working in their platform. I just describe what I want, and it goes out and does it. And it
Mm.
reports. I can have a report daily, weekly. Right now I've got it off analyzing jobs with non-technical jobs that require AI skills to see how they're talking about them in jobs.
So
I've got
is
another one
it's
that's looking at like conferences. So like it's
Mhm.
it's
useful. I'm not
basically
doing the
like
work.
an automated search
Research
in that
assistant.
case,
Yes,
right? Like, is
yes.
that, yeah, okay.
It's like a Google alert on
Yes,
steroids,
that's what I was gonna say. Like,
but
we
like
used
more
to.
goal oriented.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
more
like,
Do this
focused.
thing, report back. But here's what it'll do. It'll be like, oh, I didn't find this thing. Would you like me to have this? Would you like me to go do this? And you're like, well, oh, yes, yes, I
oh,
would. And I just
maybe.
talk to it in email. I just email it back. And if it does something
Oh,
wrong, I just say, that's
okay.
wrong. Do it this way. And it's like, absolutely no problem. From here on out, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And you're like, wow, okay. So I think that's like the closest I've come to being terribly impressed. Now, on the product side, yes, using like Cursor and Lovable and Bolt, those are all products that are designed much more for building things.
Yeah,
Yeah, those are super cool too. But
yeah,
and those are agents, right? But I try to think of like this is where it gets complicated. What job are you doing? Right. So it's like there's general purpose agents and then there's specialty agents, much like
Mhm.
AI tools like ChatGPT. That's a general purpose AI tool. Whereas like a product with like I'm trying to think of a product like Granola AI is for specifically for transcription for
Mhm.
your meetings, right? So it depends with agents. I still don't think that they are uh, do not think 2025 is the year of the agent. It's the year of
no.
agent marketing. Yeah.
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 I've sat in on a few sales calls, and it's like agent, you could get like a whole blackout on your bingo card. It's like you get an agent, you get an agent. It's
Yeah.
just all
Yeah.
agents. Like everything is an agent.
Yeah. And the reality is like so there are some sales SDR agents that I've trialed that I like, right? But if you look at it from the team point of view, so from an individual, small business or solo entrepreneur or, a creator, these tools can be really helpful. But when you take it from the team level, you have to have a foundation in place. You can't go to agents if you have zero training in AI, right? Because we're still dealing with prompts. We're still dealing with data and learning about most employees don't think about data. They don't have a background in thinking about data. What is it? Where does it come from? What kind should I use? How should I use it responsibly, right? So you have to have these foundations before you can be like, we're going to use agents here, right?
Yeah,
Otherwise, it's going to get even messier.
it will get messier. We will live in this messy middle for a moment. It makes me think, like, as we're talking about this, like, we keep talking about needing AI skills or AI literacy.
Hmm.
What, like, if you had to drill down, like, what are those skills? Like, what are the things that you think people should be prioritizing so that they have a good foundation, so that, like, when the year of the agent comes, they're able to make sense of it and they're able to capitalize on it in, like, that moment?
Yeah, I mean, I have a list, and so it's something I certainly talk about a lot. So, to short list is when we start with those foundational AI literacy skills. What is generative AI? What can it do? And most importantly, what can it do? Right? Know those limitations. I always cover this at the very beginning to get everyone on the same page, right? And it's so interesting when I open the floor up, just from covering like that part, and I open the floor up for questions and the amazing questions that get asked because people aren't getting these answers, right? And so like really giving that foundation. And then from there, we start talking about, okay, you need to know things like how to prompt, yes, right? But also like how to add data to your prompt. What is data? What is the impact of data? How does that change your prompts? How do you troubleshoot your prompts when they don't go the way you want? Look, everyone doesn't need to be a prompt engineer, right? But it is learning how to give the instructions in a way that's going to get you an output that's useful. I think there was an article that came out real recently about workplace slop. And I love that term because it was like, people low quality outputs. And it's like, yeah, there are a lot of low quality outputs and knowing how to both get it to a good quality output and then evaluate those outputs for
Yeah,
quality
that's really
control
important.
is
Yeah.
even more important. And I think that's where we miss, where a lot of trainings miss the evaluation part, critical thinking and evaluation on outputs, and the data piece. That's what
Yeah.
I include. But those are probably some
Yeah.
of your top skills, and data fluency again, which I've already kind of alluded to and talked about. And then the responsible A. What does it look like to use it safely, to be transparent about that use? right? And
Mhm.
awareness of bias, and what task does bias show up in? Um, so for example, companies that are using AI to rank resumes, there's no
Mm.
way to know why it chose that resume. And depending on your model, you will get different results.
Yeah.
So should you be using AI for that? That's a discussion for your organization.
Oh, that is a rabbit hole we could go deep
Right. But
into.
right? An AI skill, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah.
The transparency of use is a really interesting one. Definitely something I'm seeing on the ground in my organization where I think there's still like this inherent fear with the individual person that like they're going to use AI, but they don't necessarily want to say they're using AI for like maybe all of the things that they're doing because they still want to be like, I have value. I'm doing this thing. Yeah, I made this thing and I don't want someone to think like I just, um uh farm
Just took
this
the
off to
output. Yeah.
AI. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Um
totally.
and then you have other people who are passing off AI like it is something they did and you can
Yeah.
totally tell and you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, so no, that's not great either. Like even in weird ways like Teams messages where the person could have just wrote the message, but they used AI and you're like, I don't
Yeah.
understand what you're saying because this doesn't actually have any substance to it. So there's like
Yeah.
it's showing up in weird ways like on the
Yeah.
You
ground.
I want to ask you both, like, do you feel that way? I know that I often feel that way. Like, I
Yeah.
wrote a LinkedIn post last week that got a lot of eyes on it, and there was a part of me that wanted to be like, y'all, I wrote all of that like at 2
Huh?
a.m. Like, except like I got a little bit of AI like advice on the first paragraph, just advice, right?
Yeah.
And there was something I was like, that was fine. I wrote that, right?
Right.
Uh and so I wonder, do you two, like, how do you feel in your work with that?
Nicole, you wanna go?
Should it matter if you used AI or not? You know what I mean? Like it's still what you put it out as your content. You know what I mean? And it kind of speaks for itself. Do you
Mhm.
need a disclaimer at the bottom saying these are my real words?
Mhm.
I mean,
You
So,
can
do you? That's
tell.
what I'm asking. That's what I'm
is it
asking.
so
What do
I
you think? What,
love this
Nicole? Yeah.
discussion.
Yeah.
Talk about you could have a total discussion about roundtable on that.
100%. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, like I think this just speaks to our theme of messiness, but also about the social norms around this, right? That we do not, the social norms on AI use are not settled inside our organizations at all. We have issues with trust inside our organizations. If I talk about using AI, does that put my job at risk? I've
Yeah.
certainly, in the beginning, I remember feeling that. Your relationship with your boss, right? Do you trust your boss? That's going to
Yeah.
affect how much you disclose, right? How much you're using AI. Has there just been a round of layoffs in your organization? Probably don't feel like talking about how you're using AI, right? Because maybe you look replaceable. Like these are all very valid. And then on the flip side, if you are an prolific AI user like myself, um, it becomes about, okay, well, what does it mean to actually use AI? Am I using it to write the first draft? Am I using it to write the whole thing? Am I brainstorming ideas and then writing the own thing, right? There's just so much ambiguity. And for me, I have a really specific split. I will use AI all day to write my blog posts for my website copy and stuff like that, because I used to do that as a job. And now I'm just like, I'm going to farm it out. I edit them. But like my personal LinkedIn posts, if I'm writing something for someone else or something, I care very much about the voice and tone,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
I don't use AI. I may use AI to brainstorm an angle, right? What's the
Yeah.
angle I should take?
Yeah.
But
Or
when I write it
how
myself,
will
and
this land? Or,
yeah,
yeah.
but it's very
Mm-hmm.
personal, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
honestly, I don't think AI can do as good a job as me in some
Agreed.
cases, right?
Yep.
So
Agreed.
there's that
Yeah.
element because I have the expertise. Now, if I'm doing it in another field, right? Then I just like, I guess, like I'm doing graphic design work, like I'm farming it out to AI. It's like, yeah, that's good enough. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it just depends. So on the transparency piece, and I'm going back to that, like in your organization, transparency about AI use looks like, management and leaders saying, we're okay with you using it and here's how. And we'd like to hear from you how you're using it, right? So being transparent, and then transparency when you've made a mistake. So this really gets to like, this happened to me. Like I've put stuff out back when I had a full-time job that was not correct. And someone was like, hey, I think that's a mistake on your report. And I was like, ooh, that's because I used AI and didn't check it. Right. Like
Mm-hmm.
I got caught, I got caught up in the hustle to get it out. And I was
Yeah.
like, yep, I used AI and didn't check it. That is also transparency, that kind of accountability, right?
Yeah.
Or also, like, I just used AI to help me write some scenarios.
Hmm.
And I want to make sure that product checks my scenarios because, like, I'm gonna, I'm, I told them, I'm like, I use AI. Please look at this. Make sure, like, it is
Yeah.
actually, like, checks out with you. Don't just assume I gave you the scenarios and they're right.
Mm,
Like making sure
okay.
we have those double
That's a
checks as
good one
well.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost acknowledging like, "Hey, I used AI to write this. We know AI doesn't always get it right. Can you double check this?" And that's
Yeah.
actually a great use case of responsible AI use when you're like, "I have doubt. Can I get another set of human eyes on this?" Right? That's a great example
Mhm.
of responsible use.
Well, and to normalize it too. Like
Mhm.
I obviously I edited it and I put it together, but like these numbers, like we need to double check these and normalize the fact that I used it. I saved time, and
Mhm.
but we're not just going to like it's trust and verify, trust and verify
Yeah.
Well,
Trust and
isn't it?
verify.
I think it
whilst
also
also
prevents.
normalizing.
Yeah, it also prevents that like AI workplace slop.
Mhm.
But it also makes me wonder is how much of the work output that people are generating in general is valuable work output. You know what I
I
mean?
I I mean, that is the open question right now.
Yeah.
I think that these AI tools are certainly shining a light on the work that we do and having us have some uncomfortable conversations about the work and talent that we have, right? Like
Yeah.
if the model can generate these things and you're like, if what happens if it does it better than you? Like there have been times where I was like, ooh, that
What
is
does that
good.
mean for me?
Okay,
That
that's
was
I
pretty
would not have
good.
gotten it like that, right? Like that is
Yeah.
causes a bit of like turmoil after a while, right?
Little existential
Um, yeah,
questions.
in
Yeah.
some ways. And so I don't know. There's, like I said, it's that those social norms we're still trying to figure out. And I like to be very explicit about that because I think it's the antidote to the hype is to talk honestly about the challenges and feelings, quite honestly, around using this stuff in the workplace because it is not as simple as take the tool, integrate it, we're all using it, rewards, right? It's that's essentially the marketing. Okay,
It
so
is the marketing. Yeah. Yeah, and I do think it's good for all three of us are folks that are sort of out there and talking about AI and trying to keep it real. And I also
Mhm.
think it's really important for us to be like some of this stuff does still feel weird to us.
Yeah.
I haven't fully figured out where the line is for me in terms of how it helps me write or communicate. Like I'm still sort of figuring that out as it evolves and as I do more things where I'm like, oh, that's not a thing I want its help with, but this is totally okay. Like we're all still figuring it out, even
Yeah.
the three of us, like
Yeah.
still trying to sort out what it all means.
I had a moment the other day where I was like, wow, I think here's what's happening now in my workflows. I'm generating all this stuff. I get an idea. I'm like, oh, that'd be kind of cool. And then I go generate it. And I'm like, oh, yeah. And then I'm down this rabbit hole. I was like, whoa, 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 focus on the thing. And what's interesting is that gives the impression of doing work. I've now
Yeah.
Yeah.
just created this whole other plan, strategy, idea. I've just done all this work. Really, I've actually detracted from the work I'm supposed to be doing. And I realize just what a distraction machine the tool is because it gives me this impression of work. And granted, I'm a shiny object individual. I'm always distracted by
Yeah.
everything. But like, that's still a reality for me is like, it was like, wow, I'm using this and it gives me the impression like, oh, I've got this great idea now. Well, all I did was generate it. I haven't done it. I haven't actually
Haven't done
executed on it.
anything.
Put it in the bucket. Now, where do I put it with all the other ones I've
Uh,
made?
That's what I was gonna say. There's a list, right? Where you're like, you put
Hmm.
the shiny object list. You're like, I have to put that away. I have to stay
Yeah.
in I gotta lock in.
Yeah. Yeah. So Good luck to all of you people who are shiny object people who get distracted and can't focus.
Infinite
Tools.
slot machine, I
Yes,
think,
it is, right?
is especially now, like that latest Sora release, like the app. I haven't had a chance to play with it myself, but from seeing what other people are doing, I'm just like, well, this feels not great, if I'm being
Doesn't feel
honest.
good.
Like, this does not feel like a step in the right direction.
Nope.
Like, what are we doing? What's happening?
Yeah, like I have been tricked by it. Like I saw something on LinkedIn and I thought it was real. I was like, wow, that person is giving a talk at a conference. Like I'm not doing anything with my life. Like if they can do it, I can do it. And I was just like, and then I realized it was totally Sora. And I was like, what? I just went through an existential crisis looking at a Sora video.
Well, and I think that that's a really good example, Nicole, because you dug in. You were like, is that person really on this big, like, it looked like a big stage. It wasn't like,
Yeah.
you know, a regular conference. I saw the
that
same
person
thing.
is good enough to where like I could believe
Yes,
it.
I could believe it.
I was
My
like,
God.
I saw the
wow.
same thing. I saw the same video come through my feed. I didn't question it. I was like, oh, yeah, okay, cool. Oh, that guy got like a really good
Wow.
gig.
Yeah.
Right. And then later, Nicole was like, whoa, this Sora thing caught me. And I was like, wow, I saw it. And I didn't even question it. And that to me is the real, the real scary thing. Like you stopping and
Well-
going like, whoa, I didn't even, because there's so many things coming across your feed. I was just like, wow, good on him.
I've had my family members send me videos, right? Because Portland's, you know, a hot topic right now. And I had someone send me a video like, look at this. And I was like, that's fake. That's not real. And they were like, what? What else is
I
fake
mean, I
and not
think-
real? And I'm just like,
think
so
that's the-
much.
We were already in that crisis before it was released, and now it's just escalated. Yeah, I think this is, and then we see it kind of being pushed inside the organizations, this idea that you can clone yourself. I just saw like a leading HR magazine, basically magazine, I don't know what to call them, they're online. There's a lot of them. Anyways, they were like, here's how to clone yourself as the CEO. And you're like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? And they're like, it'll make you more efficient. You can answer questions. Your avatar can do this. And I was like, but let's think about this. Not just, this goes back to just because we can, should we?
Yeah.
Right? Part of responsible AI is asking that question. Let's think that through. If my CEO is cloned, what is my CEO saying to other people? Is it responsible for decisions? What does this do to trust inside the organization? And that's probably
Yeah.
one of the hardest ones to measure of all,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? So if I could get anyone, like, if you're going to take away anything from this AI thing, is to shift your thinking from, like, ooh, what is this tool to what is the impact of this tool? And really do
Yeah.
the hard thinking in conversation with other people, not just yourself or your AI clone, about what is the impact of using this kind of tool. Just because you can doesn't mean you shouldn't. And I think this is in particular with these with the cloning of people.
The videos is just, it's a
Oof.
lot.
The trust is going to go phew.
Yeah.
Very
Ooh,
uplifting.
I feel like we could talk about rabbit holes. Like
Yeah.
we could go on
Well, we
sort
haven't
of
even talked
reality
about, like,
perception.
we haven't even talked about like we're not quite clear on what it means in the workplace, right? As like people who use AI tools, but what about the building of AI tools? The ground is so shaky. Like in my organization, we're being asked to build features powered by AI.
Mhm.
Like we don't even understand it for ourselves in using them yet. Now we're
Right.
responsible for building the next, generation of AI tooling and what that means.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
honestly think this period of disillusionment is maybe really good because while the big labs are not slowing down, the disillusionment maybe gives us a second to breathe. You know what I'm saying? And like gives us a second, like maybe everybody being a little disillusioned allows more space for critical thinking, allows more space for the conversation of like, we're building this thing. What is the impact of this thing? Is it providing value for our users? Like, like maybe it's like exactly what we need.
And how we
One
talk
hopes.
about it and how it
Yeah.
shows up and how we present it. And again, back to that impact. What value is it providing? Is it providing value, or are we just like slapping it in there? Like, what are we
Correct.
doing?
I mean, that's
Yeah.
the part right now. Everyone's like, what AI tool should I use? Because it's in everything now. And then
Mhm.
it's not needed in everything right now, right? Not everything needs a chatbot. Not everything needs AI. And I think it just makes it hard for the everyday user to know like what they're supposed to use AI for, because
Yeah.
Yeah.
they're gonna encounter so many different tools of different quality.
It's so messy.
It's so messy.
To
It's
I
a
bring
mean,
it
that's the
full
mess.
same.
circle.
That's it. It's messy, and I love messy. So great. I thrive in chaos. So
I love this.
I'm happy to
It's
be
your
included.
moment.
But yeah, I'm shining right now. I joke
You're
that
like, this is great for me.
I
You
show up
are
to
shining.
I mean,
I
you
show up to
are.
these
You're,
workshops, and I'm just like, I will answer all your questions. Please give me all your questions. I
it
love your
is my
questions.
moment for
Yes,
chaos.
let's
Um,
hear your chaos.
thought we would wrap with like us talking, so we've sort of talked about the disillusionment, with like as we're coming into 2026, like what is one thing that we are curious about as it pertains to AI? And I know that this is the question I am bringing, but I would like you to know that I have not given this any forethought, so I am with you all with this question. Like, what is one thing that you are really, really curious about?
Who would like to go first?
Nicole Moore's.
What? Me? Why am I on the spot? One thing I am really curious about when it comes to AI. Um, yeah, it's hard for me to get out of my own feelings about it. You know what I mean? I feel pretty disillusioned going into 2026. Um, and I'm trying to just baseline keep my curiosity alive and not be pessimistic about it, honestly. So I think
You're
that's where
curious
I'm
if you
at.
can keep your curiosity alive.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, as a person who manages a team, I feel a big responsibility to also hold and carry forth that curiosity for my team and make sure that, you know, I'm being like, it's okay to try these things out and be open about how you're using them and maintain your curiosity and please share with everyone. So I don't know if it's a singular thing, more than just a feeling, more than just vibes into 2026.
More
Yeah,
than just
I've
vibes.
got my vibes going right here. This is my vibes. I will go, Nicole, if you need more time, because like I am curious if there's going to be a continuance of the speed that things are being developed, and if we're going to see a release that makes me go like, wow, again. Because I feel like the things that we've seen over this year, there's been very few times this year where I've had that like, oh, like, oh, like that is a,
Yeah.
that shifts my mindset completely. And I feel like this year there just hasn't been as much of that because we've been in a year of sort of like, how do we practically make this work? I don't know whether I think that's good or bad if a thing like that comes along, but I haven't felt that this year. Nicolle Merrill, where does your curiosity lie?
I love this question because I'm all about the curiosity when it comes to this stuff, right? Curiosity is the foundation of learning. I think for me, I have kind of two pieces. One, how are the small companies going to even do this? The small companies, um, well, there's so how are the small companies going to do AI? Like it is, the other day I was Googling, legal options because I had a legal thing and I was like, well, can AI solve this? And I was overwhelmed. I was like, there's far too much choice. I don't know the legal space. Talk about an area I got nothing, right? And it was like, and every product I went to was like, sign up for a demo. I was like, no, I need answers now. I don't want to do a demo, right? So like a lot of times we hear about AI, we're hearing about the enterprise companies, the big companies. But the reality is these smaller mid-size where they don't have a full team of L&D, they don't have people that can do everything, right? It's so much more complicated. And I'm just real curious how the smaller companies are gonna going to work on this, right?
I mean, we know that. They reach out to Megan and I. They Google
Yeah.
AI plus Portland and they come our way and they're like, help us, Megan.
And they're like,
help
this
us,
is
Yeah.
supposed to be easy. And we're
We're
like,
the
it's
dream,
really
the dreams.
hard.
And we're like,
Yeah.
it's not you.
It's them. No, it's not the company. It's it's AI. So I'm really
Yeah.
curious. I work with smaller companies as well, and I watch them in the struggle, and I'm just like, okay, But also, I'm just curious, like how any smaller AI company that builds things is going to compete against the giants, because it just seems like the giants just gobble everything up, and
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we
every
saw that in like
small
the
improvement, because I have
Apple.
not been wowed either this year.
Yeah.
So every small
Okay, good.
improvement
Yeah.
is like, okay, well, maybe we have an agent builder that's user friendly. That's a hard one. But like, just because it says no code doesn't mean it's not technical.
Please,
But like,
can we just shout that from the freaking rooftops?
you have to be
Because like
technical for
people
most of
think,
these agent builders.
yes, like you have to like, and you have to have that engineering mindset where you can
Mhm,
develop
mhm.
a solution before you start dragging things
Yes,
around on the
yes, yes,
board. Like,
yes.
oh, thank you.
So
Say that
yeah,
again.
so like, how did these tools that get built that are supposed to be helpful then just get absorbed or basically duplicated by like OpenAI releasing an agent builder? Like, I think that it seems really hard to see the path for these smaller AI companies. So it's just a consolidation, it seems like, of everything into the big players. And I think I'm just curious what
that
that's going to be.
happens, right? Yeah, I mean that
Mhm.
happens in a lot of like technological development is like these small startups build
Yeah.
all the innovation and then the big companies come and like
Yeah.
cannibalize it.
So I'm curious, what does that do? What does that do for all of us, right? Like, how does that impact us if we're using custom tools already inside the organization? So we'll see.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
And I know we were wrapping, but we see the same thing with small businesses too, which is like, how can they leverage this technology, whatever. What is your advice for them right now?
I mean, it's pretty standard. It's start small, right? I think like the idea not to go out and just say we're all using AI now, right? That's big. That's too big.
Mhm.
So like, start small. Do an assessment of your organization. Honestly, I think that's one of the smartest things you can do is talk to the people inside your organization, because we have so many. It's 2025. You got people that are using AI all the time, and you got people who've never touched AI, and that is wild from a training point of view and also from a leadership point of view. And so you need to know that. How are they using it? What are they doing with it? What are their attitudes towards it, right? Because there's a spectrum. And so I think, starting with a tool or starting with a Mandy is misguided, right? Get to know what's going on inside your organization before you really go forth with, we're doing AI, right?
I love that
Yeah.
so much. Thank you, Nicolle Merrill
Yeah.
and Nicole
Ugh.
Moores. Two Nicoles.
All the
The
Nicoles.
first time.
We did really good not going down all the rabbit holes. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
There are so
full of
many.
rabbit holes to go down. Just have a spin-off podcast. It's just AI rabbit holes.
Thank you again for listening to this episode of Supercharged by AI. Subscribe to get all the latest episodes and check us out at aipdx.info for more information.